we are losing the woods for the trees. The fact is, yes, freedom of speech is great, and let me assure you that one of the countries, I would say the foremost countries in the world, which respect freedom of speech and expression is India.
Absolutely.
At the same time, it is a freedom which has to be safeguarded to the best of our ability. Now the fact is, if there are elements which are going to misuse it to an extent which is going to cause harm to many others, I always say public interest comes over private interest. If in the process a private interest is unjustifiably, and I repeat the words, unjustifiably in any way repressed, then it can be, recourse can be got
but
instantly
I have a question.
in such a case.
Ariman Sundaram, I have a question.
But the fact is, I have a different question before yours. And mine is, can it be said that the government action was unjustified as the events of the past few weeks showed? Can it be said it was thoroughly unjustified? You may say there was an overreaction.
No.
You may say that while reacting, a few people who ought not to have been stopped were also stopped.
Yes.
All those can be repaired.
So
But
do you
to
take
say
that as
the government
collateral
should have
damage?
just sat back and done nothing and said, oh, freedom of speech is everything, and celebrities are on
That's
the
my
Twitter
point.
and others on the Twitter. As Suhail said very correctly, there's a difference between a personal affront to somebody, and there's a difference between an attack which is going to affect common man, people who have nothing to do with all this and who are going to be the target of hatred and violence. And I believe freedom of speech must bow to that if that is necessary.
Okay,
Public interest is more important.
Okay, so what's...
So who's the Lakshman drawing the rekha?
No, but I have a simple, small... I'm confused.
There is no Lakshman Rekha, for God's sake.
What's-
We're not discussing the Ramayana here.
Who's the
We're
Lakshman drawing
discussing
the
a
rekha?
serious issue or no
Who's the
that you
Lakshman?
have
We're talking
raised. You have raised an
No,
issue
but everybody is
that
saying
is
there are
India
boundaries.
becoming
Who's
a
the
banana
Lakshman here?
republic.
Chetan has
There's
a
no
question for you,
Lakshman.
sir.
Don't look for a Lakshman. Don't look for a Lakshman. You have raised a very
Arnab, can I
important
ask a simple question to
Are
all
we
the legal
becoming a
luminaries there?
country
Who's the
harking
Lakshman
back to
drawing the Lakshman Rekha?
1975
No, there is one question.
to
Is
the year
social
of the
media
emergency?
above law and order? No.
So Rahul Ishwar is putting a
Is
question.
the social media above law and order? No, it is not.
It should not be. It should not be. If the mainstream media can talk about self-regulation,
But does law and-
or social
does law
media,
and
which I think
order-
India is going to be the biggest market for social media, the way we are growing in Facebook and Twitter, if we don't even talk about regulation today, despite the terrible circumstances that we have faced,
problem
I think
is-
we are just committing harakiri.
But one
It's
second.
not about being paranoid at all. It's about thinking a little
There is the
proactively
camel
ahead.
analogy here.
Yeah.
There is the camel analogy. The camel enters the tent. The
Arnab,
camel
it is
enters the
unfair.
tent saying, I'm feeling
It
a
is
little
unfair.
cold. Please let my nose in. And eventually the camel enters the
It
tent
is-
and the person inside the tent has to leave.
Yeah.
There is a genuine worry here, isn't there? Rajesh Kalra and Rahul Ishwar. Where will we stop?
Yeah,
Tomorrow.
Arnab, I actually...
Arnabji,
No. Tomorrow Rajesh Kalra may write a blog. One second, hear me. It's a real situation. Rajesh Kalra writes a very popular blog. And Rajesh Kalra writes a blog that is considered, might be considered offensive by a lot of people in power. Now, I have a
But
situation.
there's a law. There are courts of law.
Yes.
And
but can
Rajesh Kalra is an intelligent man. He's not going to spew venom or hatred. He's not going to incite communal riots.
So
you run the news hour every evening. You're pretty scathing on the government. They arrested you yet because they know you don't have a hidden agenda. You're not asking people to go out on the streets. Why
Exactly.
has your channel not run a
That is the
campaign
point.
against
That
Raj
is the point.
Tate?
Yeah. And the other part
And
of
there is a
it is
slight
Can I ask a question?
and the other part
Rajesh
is-
Kalra has a counter
I have
question.
an editorial
you cannot
discretion
have
here on
inflammatory speech
the
against the state.
websites or social media. You don't have any editorial discretion. But at the same time, as I said, in those guidelines, we have a very clear, I would say the message is very clear that if you are aggrieved, you make a complaint. And if the Twitter or Facebook, he doesn't take off that complaint, that you have the right to go to the court.
Yes.
So,
now,
where in the world the government is coming, it's basically the aggrieved person going to the court if he's not getting justice. But I might be affected. If I
no
get,
court process
and
there.
remember all along, you had the laws, where was it applied? Nowhere. Right now, when a lot of content is coming which has direct impact on national security, that's when the government has acted. I would say that at this point of time, the private...
there is a query coming in.
The government should have
There is a query coming in.
before.
No,
But having said so, I think this is the right time on this particular regulation. Let's build up a harmony at least.
well, Okay, now Rajesh Kalra had a concern and a query. Yes, Rajesh, go ahead. You know, before you come in, I have a small point to make to you, Rajesh. Rajesh, under Twitter rules, there are already rules for impersonation and violence and threat. So what is new?
You know, I actually am not sure of the legal things there. There are enough legal luminaries there who should answer that. Who I have some other query to. You know, all of us have been talking about the laws and rules under which you can ban a website or block Twitter handles. Have you seen this entire thing which we have been showing for a while? These notifications from the government to ISPs to ban. You know, I have them.
Yeah,
all
I have
here.
it with me.
It doesn't mention under which act or whatever this action is being taken. And the most interesting thing is this line towards the end of each notification, the 4 that I have here. It says, kindly do not mention the name of URLs in the compliance letter. I am very confused over why the government does not want that to be revealed. It is sending out a letter to people with, 76 and 80 and 73 and 65 websites, and in one of them 16 Twitter handles too, sending out all those details. Now it comes back to them and says, once you have complied, do not please mention these URLs. And
no, what are you suggesting?
So the two things. So what I'm saying is, what are the rules or laws under which it has sent this to these ISPs? Why doesn't it mention under section so and so of IT Act, we are asking you to block all these sites? There's nothing mentioned here. I'm very confused over that.
Is that a...
The government may have acted
you can't credit every government.
I think on the 17th of August...
You know, now, the fact remains that Information Technology Act is just the beginning.
No.
At the moment,
he has
every
a point.
country...
He has a point.
He has a point. He has a point. But it is pertinent to recognize, Arnab, that all countries, including the United States, is still grappling with the laws to combat
No, that's no excuse.
It's a fact.
No,
and it's an
imperfection.
It's a work in progress. That's a reality. Social media
but
is a new monster. It's a
the way it was done...
And the second part is the number of troublemongers are few.
Mr. Kalra is pulling out only one set of...
No.
There are just a few people. It's a minority section that misuses the social media.
No, 1 second.
But we need a regulation for that.
1 second. Now, if Sohail Seth's account were to be blocked...
It can't be done without any lawful
I am
reason.
absolutely sure...
No, there has
that
to be
Sohail Seth would ask, under which law am I being blocked?
He has got a right to contest.
Now I know that there were 2 journalists whose accounts were also blocked among the directive to block 16 Twitter handles sent out by the Communications Ministry on the 20th of August.
No, I follow both.
One minute. Only one of the Twitter handles bears any resemblance to the Prime Minister's official account. And there is no quoting of any sections of the IT Act or any other law under which the decision to block the websites has been taken. So it does smack of a lot of unilateralism.
Absolutely.
That is a point. It smacks of unilateralism.
Yeah, and that's the point.
What is the moot issue?
The moot issue is the moot issue which I'm coming back to, and I'm making this point to Rahul Ishwar also. I want to come to both you and him. The moot issue is this: you block me, you must tell me why, so that I can contest you.
I agree with you.
You cannot snatch my right and not even tell me why.
There is no absolute power.
Right,
I agree
Rahul?
with you completely there. You're right.
There should be well-laid procedures. There should be well-laid procedures, modus operandi of letting people know under what section this thing should be done. But we should not go for a blind argument saying that social media is totally not restricted. Social media is totally beyond law and order. There should be some mechanism. We should derive at a consensus and a mechanism through which we can understand this procedure. You cannot turn a blind eye towards the realities of the day, and when morphed images are used in India, especially by our neighboring countries, to incite violence, we should be serious about a cyber war.
Yes, Sohail.
We should understand these kind of subtle aspects and take a decision.
I don't know who's
Sohail, that's Rahul Ishwar. Please continue.
Let me say this, and let me say this in reasonable finality. I don't think anyone on this panel is in his right mind going to suggest that if hatred and venom is spewed, let it go unchallenged, uncontrolled. You're also right that when governments block websites or Twitter handles, they need to give an explanation under a particular statute of law. But having said that, if that statute of law is missing in its initial communication, it doesn't matter. Let's not confuse process with end objective. The end objective is to stem the rot of hatred. is to stem communalism.
No, it is
Is to
important,
stem,
absolutely
and if people
important.
are aggrieved, they have a robust judiciary in this country to go to and seek redressal.
Absolutely.
But the fundamental point on
If
Newshour
government
mustn't be
itself
ignored.
comes ahead and does things
That
which
freedom of
don't seem to be
expression
supported
comes
by
with
law, then it is
responsibility.
wrong.
1 minute. I don't know who's interrupting. Whoever this guy is, tell him to
okay.
allow me to finish. The essence of freedom of expression is freedom with responsibility. If television channels, if newspapers can do that, it must be induced into the very being of social media. As Sanjay Jha says, it may take a while, it may take certain evolution, certain maturity, let it. But let's not gloss over the fact that social media must be allowed to be irresponsible, irate, and worst of all, completely ignorant of the sentiments of a nation.
Well, I think this ongoing debate, I get a clear sense the moment the government tries to cross that Lakshman Rekha, there will be an avalanche of outrage. But if it is controlling a certain situation, there might also be pockets of support. The interesting situation tonight...
Have you joined the BJP?
Pardon me?
There are always Lakshman Rekha. That's a reality.
Lakshman Rekha...
Why don't you say Moses' foot?
Well, Sohail, freedom of expression.
Oh, come on.
My answer to you is freedom of expression.
Too far.
Freedom of, but it's an interesting chat tonight. We've raised some points. I hope the government's watching. Thank you very much for joining me on the Newshour Debate tonight. This has been very, very refreshing tonight. Thank you very much. Whether you're on Twitter or not, it's of great interest.